INS FM and HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
More people get their news from 1010 Wins than from any other radio station in the nation. Madison Pett is our writer. Walter Geis at the editor's desk. I'm Scott Stanford.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good morning, 76 degrees. It is 7 o'clock on this Friday, August 15th. I'm Susan Richard. Here's what's happening. As city officials confirm a fourth death in the Legionnaires outbreak in Harlem. Harlem hospitals identified as a spot where people were exposed. Our Glenn Schuck with the latest. The FBI now testing that white powder found in 5 envelopes that prompted yesterday's evacuation of 26 Federal Plaza. Not only have the feds taken over the police department in Washington, D.C., Attorney General Pam Bondi declared that
D.C. will not remain a sanctuary city.
In fact, she ordered D.C. police to share at least some info with ICE. Today's the day Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meet face-to-face in Alaska to talk about Ukraine. And which A-lister turned down the Kennedy Center honor? We'll tell you. In sports, Mets lost again, their 13th in the last 15 games. Yanks were off. AccuWeather mostly sunny today, the high 87. Wins News Time, 7:01. Let's get you where you need to go. What's happening, Karen?
Well, we're going to Queens first because we've got a couple of things here. Westbound LIE at 108th Street has a broken out car on the right lane. The delays are not really too bad at all. Delays only go back to the Van Wyck Expressway, so that's pretty decent. The Van Wyck itself, however, southbound is very busy from Kew Gardens to Jamaica Avenue. We had an accident at Jamaica Avenue, and it blocks the right lane. We're jammed in Brooklyn on the inbound Gowanus from the Prospect Expressway to Atlantic Avenue. Really jammed there. The Bell Parkway seems to be in pretty good shape. Some delays around the airport, but then it's not to the Verrazano Bridge. As we check what we see on Long Island's Big 3, the westbound LIE looks great out to the Queens line. The Northern State Parkway is light, and Southern State is in excellent shape. We've got no problems to tell you about. Over at the Hudson River, the inbound side of the Lincoln is 10 with a disabled tractor trailer blocking the toll lane. The inbound Holland is 15 minutes. The inbound George is 20. And at the Queensbound Throgs Neck, avoid it. We've got 2 disabled vehicles, one in the left lane and one in the right lane. Stick with the Queensbound Whitestone Bridge instead. We're sponsored by United Airlines. Karen Stewart, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Book your next United flight from the NYC area's most on-time airport this summer, Newark. Copyright 2025 United Airlines Inc. All rates reserved. E14 on-time performance data from DoD reporting carriers for arrivals and departures from mass flight for June 2nd to July 14th, 2025.
Another person has died in the Legionnaires outbreak in central Harlem, with Harlem Hospital now on the list of locations where people were exposed.
The city confirms 4 fatalities from Legionnaires out of 99 reported cases. Brianna had a week long of concern for a relative who is very sick but is better now.
Yeah, so my auntie, we just know like that she had came and she was in the hospital, and then they was just like, she was saying that she was sick and stuff. She didn't feel good. And then next thing you know, they said that she had Legionnaire's disease.
Mayor Adams says 11 of the 12 cooling towers involved have been remediated, but real concern in the neighborhood.
Want to be healthy and we want to be safe, and so whatever is going on, we need to know about it, get on top of it, and protect everybody.
The health department says cases are slowing down, a sign that bacteria is being contained. Glenn Schuck, 1010 Wins, 92.3 FM in Harlem.
An already controversial spot in the city evacuated Thursday. This is where the feds have been holding migrant detainees who were all moved to the ICE facility in Newark.
5 letters with white powder showed up inside of the federal building downtown.
Found in the mail room of enforcement and removal operations here at 26 Federal Plaza. Our weapons of mass destruction and hazard evidence response teams immediately responded to the scene.
Christopher Rea, the assistant director in charge of the New York field office for the FBI, leading the investigation.
The letters will be sent to the FBI lab in Quantico for additional testing. We have opened up an investigation and will provide additional details as soon as we can.
The FDNY quickly moved in as the building was evacuated. They say that 2 people were exposed to the powder, but luckily no one was hurt. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Lower Manhattan.
A 16-year-old girl lucky to be alive after being shot in the head on the Lower East Side. This was inside 210 Stanton Street, where it is still unclear if she knew the gunman. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers 800-577-TIPS. Lawmakers up in Albany have already signed off on expanding New York City's authority to hospitalize homeless people against their will if they are dealing with severe mental health issues. Well, now Mayor Adams wants to take that one step further and add drug addicts to the mix.
This authority will belong solely to the doctors and nurses responding to people in need. And it would be the single most effective tool in helping end the drug abuse crisis we see all around us. This is an expansion of the work we first proposed for severe mental illness 3 years ago.
The proposal raised an immediate flag with the New York Civil Liberties Union. Executive Director Donna Lieberman spoke to 1010 Wins.
There's just really years of research about what works in treatment for substance abuse. The key is that there be voluntary engagement, and coercion just doesn't work.
The plan would have to be approved by the state legislature. Mayor Adams will be joining us live on 1010 Wins just after 8 this morning. Be sure to check back then. We'll talk to him about that and more. Good news for the man whose dog was stolen from under his feet when he fell asleep on the subway. Charles Williams was reunited with Rock, the American bully dog, Thursday. That's after somebody dropped the pooch off at a police station in the Bronx. No word who that was, but Williams rushed to pick up the dog, who greeted him with a whole bunch of slobbery kisses. Williams was sleeping on the train because he's homeless, and he was looking for a place to get both himself and the dog out of the heat. He had moved here from Poughkeepsie around 3 years ago and then lost his job at a restaurant at JFK. A month ago, he lost his Bronx apartment. Williams tells the Daily News he thinks that homeless shelters should lift their laws to allow people to bring their pets. He says especially when it's a nice dog like Rock, who he will never give up. This is it, the day Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meet face-to-face in Anchorage, Alaska to talk about Ukraine.
President Trump says he wants to end the war in Ukraine. Fordham University professor Beth Noble says the president will have his hands full.
President Putin started this war, and he's really the only person who can end it.
CBS's former Moscow bureau chief adds it is best to think of this as just the start of a dialogue.
I don't think that there is any way that President Trump could cut a deal in Alaska. There's just not enough people at the table.
President Trump has said he hopes this meeting will lead to a second one, perhaps with Ukraine's president at the table, but there's no guarantee.
Linda Kenyon reporting. Speaking to Fox News, President Trump also said he'd be willing to stay in Alaska longer, depending on what happens with Putin. As Israel moves toward an expanded takeover of Gaza, Israel's finance minister is now among those backing plans for expanding Israeli settlements in the West Bank. The project, which needs final approval from Israeli lawmakers, would see the construction of more than 3,000 homes for Israelis and would effectively cut off the West Bank from the occupied East Jerusalem.
Now, the Minister Ben Gvir says explicitly that is the purpose of the plan, calling it a response to the threats by the UK and France to recognize a Palestinian state. He's saying this will bury the idea of a Palestinian state. Now, the plan has been frozen since 2009 because of international pressure. Final approval could come next week, but it comes amid growing concerns that Israel could even move to annex the whole West Bank in the future.
Correspondent Patrick Revell, about 700,000 settlers live in approximately 160 settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Many in the international community consider these settlements illegal under international law. Not only has the federal government taken over the Washington, D.C. Police Department, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced this on Fox News.
D.C. will not remain a sanctuary city actively shielding criminal aliens. Will not happen. Under Donald Trump's directive, D.C. will become safe again, and it will become clean again.
Bondi named Terry Cole, the head of the Drug Enforcement Agency, as the district's emergency police commissioner, giving him full control of the Metro D.C. Police for as long as this federal takeover lasts. Legally, that's 30 days, but President Trump has already said he might try to extend that. Meantime, Bondi ordered D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith to give cops the ability to share at least some information with federal immigration officials, and she said any further directives from district leaders must first go through Terry Cole. Well, like something out of a movie, cops in Philly are working to solve a string of armored truck robberies.
Back in June, Philadelphia police arrested 3 men in connection with a similar robbery where they stole more than $2 million in cash. Court documents show the vehicle they used for the crime was from Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where one of the suspects worked, and another suspect was a Brinks employee at the time of the crime. The main question, are these incidents related?
I think there's certainly a possibility that one job inspired the other.
The FBI says it's too soon to tell, but they will continue to investigate.
That's correspondent Karen.